Hi there. So the other day I dug a bunch of diploids and took some, I hope, good footage, and there was actually a couple of potatoes in there that were really quite decent. And then I went to finish off by weighing them up because I just had them in bags, and I was looking around. I realized I had somehow deleted the footage because anyway, I don't have the footage, and I still have those potatoes to weigh up, but I wanted to get some diploid footage for potato reveal. So most of the diploids that I'm growing are what used to be called Solanum phureja or phureja. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce that. They're sort of characterized by a couple of things, and one of them is they're typically small potatoes, and they're typically they start to sprout. They don't have any dormancy mechanism like tetraploid potatoes that we're used to in higher latitudes. So they basically start sprouting immediately, even before the plant matures. So basically what they do in Colombia is they'll just replant immediately, so they sort of grow them like a vegetable, where they get replanted, right after harvest. And so people just use them fresh, and then they're just replanting, and they can grow them year round, more or less. And so these are kind of, I don't know if you'd call this purple or pink, and this is kind of typical shape of this one. Is part of this seed lot is called Round Burgundy. I got it from Doug Strong out of Washington. He's a really interesting guy, and he did a podcast. He did an interview on Bill Whitson's podcast recently, and that's worth listening to. I'll put a link down in the description. He's a big advocate of growing diploids using a system that he calls pull starts. So basically what you're doing is you're growing the diploid potato, when you're growing the diploid potato, you basically use the tubers, your seed tubers, similar to the way people grow sweet potatoes. It's a pretty interesting system. He's kind of the only person that does it a lot, that I'm aware of. I'm kind of curious about trying it next year. I haven't seriously explored using that system at all. So this is, a halfway decent yield here on this plant for a diploid. It's been almost a week since we had that hard frost. So I'm kind of waiting a little while longer before I start harvesting the main tuber plot. As far as I know, in the United States, there are not any commercially available diploid potatoes that you can buy. In Europe, I believe and in Japan, there are some commercially available diploid tubers. So this is the last Round Burgundy plant. I dug several of them earlier in the season. These are very knobbly, branched. That's a monster. Look at that. So I think you can call this a pretty weird potato, even by diploid standards. These ones got frosted because they were up on top. Not sure I'm crazy about this one just because like they're so knobby that they'd be hard to use, you know? Like this is a bizarre, I mean there's a lot of weight there, but that's pretty bizarre. I thought these were yellows because they looked kind of yellow on the surface. Okay, so we're switching over to another seed lot. These ones are called Criolla Rosada. Like the Papa Amarillas have like intensely, some of them can have intensely colorful flesh, like yellow and really bright yellows with, you know, just really intense colors. Like the yellows that you can get, they're almost orange. And one of the, there's a type of diploid, Criolla Rosada. There's a type of these phureja potatoes that's called yema de huevo, which means egg yolk in Spanish. And because they are as yellow as an egg yolk. So you can kind of see these ones were sprouting already. You can't kind of see, you can definitely see that these were. Some of these are kind of big, sprouty. This is a pretty good yielding plant. They're all really close to the, it's not a long stolen type, you know, these are all close to the plant. Not even gonna mess with. And I think I'm gonna still have pretty high yield, total yield, but you can see the sprout there. So those round Burgundies are a little less sprouted. Big wad of sprouting potatoes. Sprouts. These have like kind of a gorgeous color. Really gorgeous. Almost like a cherry red, like intense cherry red and magenta skin. Beautiful, but they're sprouting like crazy. These, and they're a little bit like those ones we just did were so smooth, you know, like I am thinking a lot like this is a hard potato to deal with, you know. You have to basically bust it up into little tiny bits to just even get it clean, you know. Is that one potato or what? It's like a little person. So one of the potatoes that was in the footage that I deleted, actually I dug all the rest of the Chaucha Amarilla Largas that I had, and I found one that I really like, and I think we're gonna weigh them in at the end of this video, and I have those and I want to weigh them in. I'll show them to you. And those ones are kind of in the, I think they're in the Yema de Huevo class, and I have opened some of them, and some of them are really, really intensely yellow. So so this one really had a pretty good yield, but they're not terribly easy to use tubers. So we'll just dig all of these, and then I'll probably edit the footage down, way down, to make it reasonable. If I don't delete the stupid footage again, like a moron. Stay a little bit further away because this one looks like it likes to stretch its legs. I think this is a big one. Pretty big one. There she blows. Big black whale of a Criolla Rosada. Kind of variable in shape. See? Different shapes. It's like you can't decide if it wants to be a fingerling or a round. It wants to make a lot of tubers, that's for sure. Holy crap. Holy smokes. Wow. It really does kind of look like a sweet potato almost. Not that. That's wild. Woo! Yeah, this one yielded a lot. What can I say? There's a bunch of potatoes here. How do you use them is the question. What I want to try, the thing about these is they have really amazing, well, sometimes they have really amazing flavor and texture. It's kind of, on the good ones, they sort of have this like, almost like a mashed potato type texture, even though, like, even when you just bake them, you know, they're just very soft, but also typically they're really high dry matter. The good ones, you know, like you can get amazing textures out of the diploids, and I'd like to try bugs got in that one. I'd like to try doing like diploid salt potatoes. I'm gonna do that, I think, just because that's sort of a American recipe, although there's other cultures that do something similar. But then with like these South American, I mean United States recipe, North American recipe with South American potatoes, I think that would be interesting. South American potatoes isn't an oxymoron, but you know what I mean. Now there's another potato right next to it. I'm wondering. It's not. It's a different color. It's little and pink, so that's nice. So I can actually know that this tuber, this batch of tubers here, belongs to my big blue whale. Because that's a pile of diploid tubers. That is a pile of potatoes. Generally they say the diploids don't yield very well, but that's pretty good. Pull you off the tripod and we can take a little potato tour. So, not very many. Monster yield of very, very strange unknown interior yet. Mediocre yield. Very, very rooty. Mediocre. Convoluted and mediocre. Pretty good yield of crazy potatoes. Really nice, easy to use potatoes, but very, very sprouty. And then this guy, which was the first one we did. Well, I said I wasn't gonna even dig this one, but I kind of got to do a mention of it because it was a pretty good potato. Blue-black, kind of these odd turd shapes, but pretty high yields, and most of the tubers are like, it's, you know, compared to a lot of them, it's like more larger tubers, so interesting. Okay, so here we are in the house, and I have 3 bags of round Burgundy that I figured were worth weighing up. I have 2 different plants of Chaucha Amarilla Larga that I want to weigh up, and I have 4 plants of Criolla Rosada. So we will just weigh them up, and then I have washed up 1 tuber from each bag, and we will cut that up just to get a look and see what the color looks like. Okay? So the first round Burgundy is kind of these sort of oblong white, I think, tubers. Maybe they're yellow, whitish yellow tubers. Very deep eyes. So that's 4.5 pounds. And kind of fairly bright yellow flesh. So that's a pretty nice one. The deep eyes make it a little hard to use, but it's kind of an interesting potato. Okay, so this one is another round Burgundy. It's got these very round, dark purple tubers. And that's coming in at 2 pounds, 9 ounces. And the tuber itself is very bright yellow with a blue ring inside, blue vascular ring. That's an interesting potato. That's a very intense yellow color. Okay, and our third round Burgundy are those sort of odd ones that were very lumpy. That's coming in at 2 pounds 10 ounces. That one also is like a very intense yellow flesh with kind of like a very pale, very slight I guess it's a pink vascular ring, kind of tell. That's a really nice yellow color, I have to say. This one was Chaucha Amarilla Larga number 2. I'm pretty excited about this one. That's pretty much 5 pounds. I mean, it pegged the scale just slightly. The tubers themselves are kind of russety, fairly smooth for a diploid of this type. A little bit of russet, a little bit of pink kind of on the tip of the tuber, maybe a little bit of pink around the eyes. It's kind of a medium yellow compared to this. That last one we just opened, it's not as dark of a yellow. It's still quite a bright yellow compared to like modern commercial yellow potato. But this is like, these tubers are really nice. I wish I hadn't deleted the footage of digging this potato, because I just liked the way this plant was set up underground. And then this is another Chaucha Amariila Larga. Only about 1 pound. But really intense orange flesh, and the tubers are kind of fairly smooth, little bit russeted. These are really interesting. So this is, if I can get it to sit, this is Criolla Rosada number 1. That's 3 pounds 11 ounces. The tubers are kind of magenta, kind of purple magenta. Okay, so inside they're kind of white with a lot of purple on the rose end. Not very exciting. Now this is the one. It was the very last Criolla Rosada to date that we dug, and we actually didn't do it on camera. But then I showed you the tubers after I dug them. They were kind of long, purple black tubers, and it's coming in at 3 pounds 10 ounces. Okay, so it's kind of yellow with purple and a purple vascular ring. These ones, the yield is good, but the tubers are large, but they're really odd tubers, hard to use. You know, kind of lumpy and strange tubers. Okay, so this one was Criolla Rosada number 3. These are those bright cherry red tubers that were kind of all in these crazy clumps that were like intermeshed and concreted together. So 3 pounds 7 ounces. So that's not terribly exciting on the inside. Kind of yellow, but a little bit of red, but not what I would say like stunning interior. This one was that really big blue potato. It was just enormous, and we pegged out the scale. Let me just take some tubers out. There we go. And all of these are still pretty dirty, so some of these weights are going to be off because there's still a lot of dirt on the tubers, but like I don't really care about that exact weight. I'm just trying to get a ballpark. So that would be 5 pounds, 6 ounces. So they're basically cream colored inside with some purple. So interesting. So this is a Yukon Gold that I bought from a colleague at the farmer's market. So that's the yellow of what's considered a very yellow commercial potato in the United States. And this is the Yukon compared to that nice Chaucha Amarilla Larga plant that I liked. And here's that other Chaucha Amarilla Larga. So you can see how much more intense the yellow color is in these diploids than it is in the standard commercial yellow varieties. Was there any other ones that were pretty yellow? This one also, yeah, look, see, it's really, when you compare it to this stuff, it's barely even, it's not even in the same class, you know. These potatoes just have such intense yellow colors. Okay, so you know, I think I might do another little video where I cook up all these yellow potatoes with the Yukon Gold, just to kind of compare and contrast the fresh tuber color and then the cooked tuber color. Also, I think that might be an interesting thing to do. Okay. Well, I hope this was not too long of a diploid potato reveal, and I hope those of you who haven't seen diploids before, you know, saw something interesting. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Hope this was useful.